I'm gonna make just a quick video showing how to recolor the pupa eyes because um, I made the PSD quite different to how I've made eyes in the past, like the dynasted eyes or the beetle eyes. Um, the main difference being that I used gradient maps instead of individual color overlays. Um, Gradient maps are a lot easier, quicker, simple for my brain. Anyway, this is the PSD you will download. There's some basic instructions on the first layer, as well as credit for the sclera I use from Pixelor. I even color coded the layers to make things even simpler for my brain. So the red layers, don't worry about them, leave them, they're locked anyway. The orange layer here called shadow, you can see it obviously puts a shadow over the top. I only use this for very light swatches, or swatches that are quite unnatural. For the 18th swatch, I used that because the swatch was so light that it needed to, the shadow makes it blend in with the sclera a bit more. But again, only use that if the swatch is very light, which I didn't use for any other swatch other than the final swatch. I said the word swatch a lot. Anyway, this layer, desaturate, you don't have to use it, but to match the appearance of the 18 swatches that I have already released, I would recommend leaving on. It makes the colours a bit more realistic rather than cartoony. I would leave it on. That's why I've locked it. Keep it there. Leave it. Obviously, this says leave me alone. This layer is the base for the iris that the gradient map is applied to. Leave that. That is all the information for the iris and the sclera, of course. For the gradient map, how to use it, it's very easy, very simple. This little thumbnail of this little gradient, I'm going to double click this and it will show you this gradient. Photoshop comes with a bunch of gradients. I'm not really going to use any of them. They don't work. You might not have any gradients, that's fine. Click the actual gradient itself and it opens the gradient editor. What I just created a folder to keep all my gradients in, which you just do by right-clicking anywhere and doing new gradient group, which I did. And then you can mess around making a gradient. The far left is what the darkest point of the eyes are going to be. For the majority of eyes, the majority of the swatches will just be black here. Double click this little box and you get the color picker. I'm going to set that to black. You can then, if you want to get rid of any part of the gradient, like say I don't want this blue in the middle, I can just click and drag it away and it gets rid of one. Let's think about what color I'm going to make. Should I make a natural one or an unnatural one? I'm going to make like a greeny yellow swatch, kind of an unnatural swatch. So all the way at the right is the lightest part of the eyes. I'm going to double click this and I'm going to set this to like a neon yellow color, like that. Set it to whatever color you want. This little diamond here refers to how the gradient is skewed. I don't know the technical term. It's called the midpoint. So if I drag it all the way down here, you can see that the midpoint of two gradient colors is towards the black swatch that you picked. Drag it up and the majority of the eye will go to this black color. You can just leave it or whatever, doesn't really matter. If it disappears, it means that you haven't clicked on whatever swatch you're trying to edit. I'll just leave it in the middle at 50%. This. If you click and drag anywhere on this bit where you have the little hand with the finger, you can add another color to the gradient. which will define obviously the midpoint of the gradient if you put it in the middle, or you can put it up here, put it on that, don't matter, you can just mess around with it. Double click this. I'm gonna set this to like a bluey turquoisey kind of colour. I think that'll be kind of cool. Maybe a bit more green. Yeah, something like this. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. And then again, these little diamonds, you just kind of need to mess around with it when it comes to gradient maps, because that's all I did for the actual 18 swatches. Just click things. Drag them around, see what they look like. I'm happy with this swatch. Give it a name. Click on the folder that you want to save them in. Give it a name. I'm just going to call it green yellow 1. Then hit the new button. Save here. It might be slightly different depending on your version of Photoshop, but whatever. Then click OK. Make sure dither isn't checked and reverse isn't checked. Once you've finished, all you need to do is do File, Save As, and then save it wherever you want to as a PNG. I'm gonna call it, I'm gonna put my desktop, just call it whatever. Obviously, if you're making a bunch of swatches, you want to number them. Save, and now, okay, and that should be it. Now you need to open Sims 4 Studio, and to create non-default swatches to appear after the swatches, the default 18 swatches, under the cast tab, you want to do add cast part swatch. Click cast. Best way to do it is part type. Click the drop down, and eventually there's one that's called eye color, like here. Obviously, there's a bunch depending on the packs you have. For the base game, the first 18 swatches are here. Click the purple swatch, which is the final swatch out of the base game colors. Hit next. I'm just going to dump it in my mods folder. And this is the actual package file, the actual mod. I'm just going to call it extra swatch. Save. Once you get to this screen, you should be on the texture tab here, which diffuse map is what we're changing. So diffuse, import, find that swatch you just made. It will load, and there is our swatch. Exciting. Another important thing is the specular tab here. By default, the EA eyes have this really ugly specular shine. The make blank button just for some reason doesn't work in the most recent version of Sims 4 Studio. Maybe that's just me, or whatever. So to get rid of that ugly shine, how I do it is, should I upload? I'll upload a specular map for you. Okay, I very quickly made a blank specular map. I'll upload it as well. You want to go to specular tab, import, and wherever you saved the specular I uploaded, open. It'll do this. And now we're going to change the swatch thumbnail color. So as these eyes are like greeny yellow, I'm gonna make it a greeny yellow. Like that. And then just for some attention to detail, which grinds my gears if it isn't done. You don't have to do it, it'll work without it. But if you go to the categories tab here, scroll all the way down, allow for random, uncheck that. Uncheck that and always click apply to all swatches just for convenience. If you had another swatch that you wanted to make, up at the top right, add swatch. I'm just going to import one of the other swatches I made. I'm just going to import one of the other swatches I made, like anything. Change the color just to see if it works. Cool. Make sure that under categories, allow for random is unchecked. It is. And another thing you can do is selecting the swatch and then going to eye color, which is the tab here. This just means that any children your Sims have, it can select, say a child is meant to be born with green eyes, it will select any of the green eyes with the tag, I think. Maybe I'm making that up. By default, none of them are checked because we use the purple swatch. The purple swatch doesn't have any check here because it's classed in The Sims 4 as like an unnatural swatch, so your children's sim won't get born with them randomly. But if you want, you can tag it. I'll do green for this one, and then for this one, I'll just tag as like hazel green. Don't know. You don't want to hit apply to all swatches for this because obviously each swatch is going to be different. Anyway, save. Now we're going to launch The Sims. Hello, VoiceOver Amber. Don't forget to put the .package file in your mods folder. I forgot to say that. My bad. Stupid. Bye. Obviously, click on the eyes. I have other eyes installed as well, but here are the 2 extra swatches. There we go. And they're working. How exciting is that? So that's it. Done. Bish bash bosh, you know. Alright. See ya.